The world does not forget crimes because it cannot find them. It forgets them because someone or something decided that memory was more dangerous than silence. These are 5 cases where silence won. Until now. 5 cases, 5 countries, 5 crimes so disturbing, so strange, or so inconvenient to those in power that history quietly agreed not to discuss them. Everyone is real. Everyone is documented. Not one ended in full justice.
On the evening of February 2nd, 1933, in a respectable middle-class house in Le Mans, France, a mother and daughter returned home from a social call to find the house in darkness. When the gendarmerie forced entry the following morning, they found Leonie and Leah Beauvoir, mother and daughter, on the first-floor landing. Both had been beaten and strangled with extraordinary violence. Both had had their eyes gouged out. The perpetrators were still in the house. Christine and Leah Papin, the household's 2 live-in maids and sisters, were found locked in their attic bedroom, huddled together in the dark. Christine spoke first.
"I did it with my sister. We killed them both." She then described, without apparent distress, exactly what had happened. The examining magistrate, a veteran of 30 years on the French bench, stated formally for the record that the scene was, in his experience, without precedent. Christine was sentenced to death, later commuted to life imprisonment. She died in a psychiatric institution in 1937, having lost her mind entirely. Leah was released in 1943 and vanished from the historical record. The Papin case became the most analyzed domestic crime in French history, and outside France, was almost entirely forgotten.
On the morning of September 16th, 1922, near DeRussey's Lane in New Brunswick, New Jersey, a couple found 2 bodies beneath a crabapple tree. Reverend Edward Wheeler Hall, 41, rector of St. John the Evangelist Episcopal Church, and Eleanor Mills, 34, a choir singer in his congregation. They were found lying side by side, their hands touching. Scattered around them, placed with deliberate care, were dozens of torn love letters they had written to each other. Both had been shot. Eleanor Mills's throat had been cut, and her larynx, the throat that had sung in Edward Hall's choir, had been surgically removed and was never found. 4 years later, Hall's widow and her 2 brothers were arrested and tried. All 3 were acquitted. The love letters were entered into evidence and never returned. The crabapple tree was cut down.
The jury finds the defendants not guilty on all counts. The investigation into the deaths of Reverend Hall and Mrs. Mills remains, as a matter of official record, open. The Hall-Mills murder was never solved. The case vanished from public memory, buried under the noise of the roaring 20s it had briefly interrupted.
On April 25th, 1935, Anzac Day, a public holiday, visitors to the Coogee Beach Aquarium in Sydney were watching a recently captured tiger shark when the shark convulsed and regurgitated the contents of its stomach. Among the expelled material was a complete human arm, with a length of rope still tied around the wrist. The arm was identified by a distinctive tattoo, 2 boxers in fighting stance. It belonged to James Smith, 40, a small-time criminal reported missing 3 weeks earlier. Forensic examination established the arm had not been bitten off. It had been cut from the body with a knife. After death, a primary suspect was identified. He was charged with murder. The charge collapsed in court.
Without a body, the court cannot find that a homicide has been committed. The arm alone does not satisfy the legal requirement for a murder charge to proceed. Charge dismissed. The remainder of James Smith's body was never found. Nobody was ever convicted. The case is cited today almost exclusively by law students studying the definition of corpus delicti, the body required to prove a murder, which, in this case, only a shark could provide, and a shark could not be cross-examined. In January 1897, in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, a young woman named Elva Zona Heister Shue was found dead in her home. She was 23 years old, married 3 months to a blacksmith named Erasmus Stribling Trout Shue. The physician attributed her death to everlasting faintness, a vague, convenient diagnosis, and signed the certificate without proper examination. Zona Shue was buried. Her mother, Mary Jane Heister, did not accept that verdict. She reported to local prosecutor John Alfred Preston that her daughter had appeared to her on 4 consecutive nights and had told her in specific anatomical detail that her husband had broken her neck in a fit of rage. Preston later acknowledged in writing that he did not believe in ghosts. He ordered the exhumation anyway, because the detail Mary Jane provided was specific enough to warrant medical examination. The exhumation found Zona's neck had been broken. Erasmus Shue was arrested, tried, and convicted of murder on July 11, 1897. He died in prison in 1900. The legal record of this case remains unique in the judicial history of the United States. It is the only known instance in which testimony regarding an apparition contributed to a murder conviction. The only murder trial in American legal history where a ghost's testimony contributed to a conviction. Known today almost exclusively to West Virginians and legal historians. The rest of the world never thought to look.
In 1938, a Philadelphia insurance agent noticed something statistically improbable: an unusual concentration of life insurance claims, all from the same tight-knit Italian-American community in South Philadelphia, all for recently deceased husbands, all paid to widows who were members of the same informal social society. His report to the district attorney's office triggered an investigation that established one of the most organized murder conspiracies in American criminal history. The ring had operated for nearly a decade, approximately 1930 to 1939. Its method was systematic and businesslike. Members would take out substantial life insurance on their husbands. When a husband was selected, the ring's 2 primary operators, Paul Petrillo and his cousin Herman Petrillo, would arrange for the husband's food to be laced with arsenic.
Death typically followed within weeks, presenting as gastrointestinal illness. The widow would collect the insurance, pay a percentage to the ring's principals, and the cycle would continue.
When authorities began exhumations in 1938, arsenic was confirmed in over 32 bodies. Both Petrillo cousins were convicted and executed in 1941. The number of victims cannot be determined with precision. Exhumation results to date confirm arsenic poisoning in a minimum of 32 cases. The investigation continues. The full scale of the operation, the true number of victims, was never definitively established. The United States entered the Second World War that same year. The case vanished from national consciousness within 12 months.
The Papin sisters in their locked attic room. The love letters beneath the crabapple tree. The shark that could not keep its secret. The ghost of Zona Shue, who told her mother what no physician had been willing to see. The widows of South Philadelphia, who turned bereavement into a business for nearly a decade. 5 cases, 5 countries, documented, tried, reported, then set aside while the world moved on. The perpetrators are gone. The victims are gone. But the record remains. It always remains. And the question the archive always asks, if these 5 were buried, how many others were buried so completely that not even the record survives to ask the question at all?